Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast. Inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs, here is your host, Dr. Frances Arlene.
Quick note before we get into today's episode. If you're a small home health agency owner, you already know this. Most agencies don't fail because of census. They fail because of continuity and compliance gaps that don't show up until it's too late. I've been working directly with small agencies around continuity planning, compliance readiness, and operational stability, especially owners who are wearing too many hats and don't have a real plan if key people, systems, or processes break. This isn't coaching, and it's not a course. It's hands-on consulting to help you reduce risk and build something that can actually survive audits, turnover, and growth. If that's you and you want to talk, you can find me at drfrancesrichards.com. All right, let's get back to the show. What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience episode number 543. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Arlene. Anthony Edwards Jr., co-founder of EatOkra, the app connecting over 500,000 users to 9,500 plus Black-owned restaurants nationwide, turning a neighborhood search into a national movement. Welcome, Anthony.
How you doing? Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. I've given our audience such a brief background. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like us to know about you and your business, and feel free to do a shout out to your co-founder.
Yeah, so shout out to my wife, my co-founder. We are a Tinder match from, I guess about 2015 maybe a little earlier when we first met. But we met on the internet in the cloud. And naturally, we created a product together called EatOkra, which is an app that's helping people find and support Black-owned food and beverage brands nationally and now globally as well. So we also allow people to find and shop with Black-owned businesses in London and Canada now. Yeah, we've been doing this work since 2016. We've gotten some amazing press and coverage and really app usage, and just a lot of people using the app daily, daily, yearly, monthly. We are a James Beard honoree as well, 2025. And we also have an Apple Developer Award, which are both kind of behind me in my screen.
Congratulations. Talk about starting EatOkra. What was that aha moment that you knew it was going to be successful, and how did you even start?
So to start EatOkra, it was really a passion. It was really a passion project. It was a project. I was working full time. My wife was working full time. We moved to Brooklyn. Well, she moved to Brooklyn. I was living in the Queens, and we would spend the night. We would hang out, but it was just like, where are all the Black-owned restaurants? This is a new neighborhood coming from the Bronx. Don't really know like where all the spots are, right? Naturally, we just don't know. Everyone always mentions the main spots, but it was just like, how do we find the spot around the corner? If I'm traveling, where do I find a Black-owned restaurant? Where are those familiar foods that I grew up with that I kind of want back in my life? Maybe not from my mom, but from someone else, from my culture. So that wasn't really a thing back in 2016. My wife made a suggestion, why don't you create an app for us to find and support Black-owned restaurants? Prior to that, I'm a military. Did 6 years active duty in the Army, aviation maintenance repair. So I was in the electronics space, computer science space. I went to school at Fordham University after I got my computer science degree. And from there, I really started getting into making websites. I got my first job as a full stack engineer and worked for about ultimately 7 years. But that was like my real start into building platforms, understanding like architectural structures and creating classes and the whole technology side of me, right? Like really but I always had this entrepreneurial side too. Even as a kid, I'd always be making like hacking at different websites and stuff like that for my mom and her many businesses. For friends, I would help them out creating websites. And so I ultimately knew I wanted to build something. I didn't know what it was going to be, but it was that seed that my wife planted. And why don't you just make this app for us to find Black-owned restaurants. Kind of had there's similar apps already out there at the time. So the motto was there. It was just really about creating something that was truly special for the Black community.
And thank you for serving and protecting. How did you come up with the name Eat Okra?
Yeah, so the name comes from really that slice, slice of the okra, and you're really seeing like the seeds in it outside. But really, it was spawned because we wanted to give a nod back to our culture and heritage, and that okra really was the full embodiment of that. Okra coming over as a seed during the slave trade, settling in the South, gave nod to kind of our heritage as well. My family roots are in the South, so is my wife's. My roots are in Louisiana, and my wife's roots are in Sumter, South Carolina, Gullah Geechee family and roots and things like that. Okra was cooked in gumbos and stews and soups and really that thickening agent. So it just felt like really great to kind of say black without saying black in a way, certainly. But it was also that stickiness of like figuratively of the okra that kind of like allows us to play with like how we communicate and tell stories through the merging of ingredients and foods and making that stickiness and just connecting communities together really through the food.
When you talk about community connecting and family food and building community of what you're actually doing and culture, what is something that you've seen as you connect with these Black-owned restaurants, Anthony, that we as consumers don't know that we should know?
Yeah, I think it's hard work. It is no small feat to start a business, to start a restaurant where you're being vulnerable and really putting yourself out there as an owner, as a chef. Sometimes they're both, and that's a lot. People are really opinionated on the service, the taste, and every day you're trying to become better, and no one wants to put out a bad product or have a bad moment or whatever that is, a bad review. But, so sometimes, I think folks don't realize the difficulty it does to feed people and what goes into that love that goes into it. And sometimes I think we take it for granted by giving a bad review, by not having grace for whatever the moment is. It might just not be related to them and just related to the waiter or waitress, or something like that, or things outside of their control. But ultimately, as the leader or as the owner of business, like everything falls back to you, even things that are not within your means. And then I've also learned that restaurants are so creative in their approach to building their businesses. Money has been a common theme across most businesses, especially our community. It's hard to like get that money, so they've had to get creative in how they bring their investments or their money together, how they collect from other folks. It's just really tough on the operator side of the house, and I just wish people would kind of think a little bit more before they write that bad review, I guess.
Speaking of raising capital, how did you raise capital to build Eat Okra?
Yeah, so we had a few kind of rounds of fundraising. We did a friends and family round. We worked with Fun Black Founders with Renee, and she was really the first person to kind of educate us on what that process was like to raise funds through community, through our friends and family, like literally. And it was a non-equity round, and so we raised about $27,000, I think. And that was because during COVID and George Floyd, really George Floyd COVID, we had about 200,000 people download the app almost overnight. That caused a lot of like great problems to have, but problems we didn't see coming, right? Because up to that point, we probably had maybe about 40,000 people download the app over 3 years, 3 or 4 years at that point. We were growing the way we wanted to grow as a side part-time project, hobby I was doing at the time, hobby turned passion project, turned like business at some point in like June of 2020, I believe. But really, once like we really started to trend really quickly, we realized right away that the demand was too much for my wife and I to handle. So we really had to like start to hire people to kind of help us out, really on the data side of the house to help us add more restaurants to the platform and buying more resources to service the app and make it performant and quick and fast. And so very quickly we ran out of service size and service speed and things like that. So we had to just upgrade everything. And the $27,000 really helped at that moment. Later on, we did another equity round on WeFunder, which is an equity crowdfunding round. So we had a long campaign for that and we raised a good amount of money to help us as well.
That is awesome, and congratulations on that. What is something that we should know about app development that we don't know?
I would say it's very hard. There's so many devices now. Like you think you're only building for maybe your mobile phone, like, and that might be an Apple device, but there's 20 versions of that. Then you have Android. There's 20 versions of different Androids. Then you have tablets. 20 versions of those, and iOS tablets, Apple devices. And then you have the browser. And then you have like monitors. So there's so many different screens you have to think about when you're building an app. There's so many different variables. Like its technology is always changes. So even when you think you put out a product and it's done, Apple might do an update and break your device. So you always have to like continue to pay for that maintenance of the app or product that you're building. So it's never really over. Do you think there's a stopping point? There isn't. And so like you always continue to add new features or have to just pay to maintain the product. So I don't think a lot of folks think about the maintenance or the variability of what you're building for and how you need to present it to your consumer.
If you lost everything and you had to rebuild in 30 days, what industry and why?
I would definitely stay on the technology industry and building like products that kind of service people or solve a problem. For me, it's just that's my comfort zone. I know how to do it, done it a few times, and I feel like I have a good eye for it. And I'm also a developer, so that saves so much money. Like engineering fees, technology fees are your biggest cost as a startup, and that was how EatOkra got so far is because I was the developer. I was working a full-time job while building it, but I would work in the evenings, work from I don't know, get off at work at 5, start working on the app at 7, go to bed at midnight, wake up again at 5, develop until 7, get ready, go to work, come home and like do it all over again. And on the weekends, I'm working on 8 hours. On Fridays, I'm working at through the night to keep continue to build the platform. I was super excited about it. Those kind of hours of working on a product are hard to come by now, as I have a 6-year-old daughter. Yeah, I think just having the skill set to build is something I would definitely continue to leverage, in new if I had to start all over again.
Talk about marriage and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think it can quickly become too much. I think you really have to have really strong communication and understand each other's like not pain points, but thresholds of where they're at, maybe in their day, in their week, and what season are they in? Is it a season of really wanting to participate and hear everything about the business, or maybe I'm in a season of just I want to cut it off at 5 and not think about nothing. And so for me, having my wife as a co-founder, I was always wanting to talk about some facet of the business, and for her it was just like, all right, let's cut it off. I think it took a while for us to find a happy path through that. And for me, I just had to like respectfully ask, can I talk to you about this? And just really present it to her at the right time when she was ready to take in the information. Because, she works a full day job. So she wants to come home and just chill too. So I think when working with your spouse, it's really about understanding like, is she an entrepreneur spirit person or is she just helping you do it? Is she a 9 to 5er, or is she really that entrepreneur that wants to, or he or she, either or, are they wanting to build 24 hours a day, 18 hours a day, or just spend a little bit of micro time? And all of it is fine. You just got to know where that threshold is that person. So I think that was really one of our biggest hurdles was just finding balance and not taking the work home, even though we were working from home. But like, how do I not leave this cubicle that I built and be dad or husband or friend over there?
I want you to have a monologue. I want you to name this person living or not, and they've impacted your life so much, Anthony. Who is that person, and what are you saying to that person?
It's my dad, my stepdad. He shows up. He's there every day. He goes to work in 2 feet of snow. He never takes a day off. I respect that grind and not to provide for your children, your kids, your stepchildren. And I really respect that and respect what the building and the process through that and just being there. I really respect my stepdad. And then, with my mom, I respect everything that she's building too, like the hard work, the hustle, the never giving up, the fighting through trials and tribulations, addiction. So I pull from like both my parents, I think, and even my real dad. I wasn't with him growing up. I respect like he had a restaurant in California. I got to see him like build that. So I'm really motivated by people and using their hands, showing up, and just working every day to get it.
And honoring your parents, why don't you say their names?
So Tamara Taylor, Dwayne Taylor.
Thank you for that. Talk about your top two mentors or influencers and what lessons did they teach you?
I'll go with influencer. So a guy by the name of Jeff Lindor. I learned about him through another friend who was like working on their website. And through learning about them, I learned about this guy named Jeff who started a men's group, professional men's group called the Gentleman's Factory. And it's in Brooklyn, New York. And it's a group of professional men of all from 75 to 21-year-olds and everyone in between. But it was a space for us to kind of come together and build, really, like to come out of isolation and build together. And so through him, he kind of told me, he's like, because I didn't know Eat Okra could be investable. I didn't know anything about that kind of world. And he was like, yeah, bro, people invest in toilet paper. Why would they not invest in your business? And that was just like such an aha moment for me. Like, okay, maybe I do have something. Being a part of that community, I met my mentor. I met a bunch of other fine gentlemen that we ended up partnering and doing things together over the years, built great relationships with him and through other folks. But it was really about just being in that space, being around men that were trying to figure it out. Some have figured it out and willing to educate the others. It was about understanding and learning from each other's like trials and experiences and sharing those experiences. Ultimately, I did figure out how to, through the mentorship, raising money, how to build and market a product, so there's so many through that relationship with Jeff, it kind of set me up and shaped my mindset a bit different.
Advice you wish you had followed.
I think learn to budget earlier or like I budgeted, but I don't know if I budgeted the right way. So maybe bringing in help sooner just to understand finances, I think a bit more.
Talk to a younger Anthony. What would you say to a younger Anthony?
To a younger Anthony, I would say, I don't know, I feel like if I did it all again, I wouldn't change much about the path that I've done. I think all the trials and tribulations were needed to set me up for where I'm at now. Like I say, even with budgeting, I did it wrong, but I think I had to learn through those moments. I've always been a person that kind of listened to folks and kind of did my own thing too. But I don't think right now, I think I would say enjoy the journey a bit more. I would say acknowledge the accomplishments more, reflect on those and slow down a little bit to let that actually sink. Because I've won awards that not many people in the world get, and I still don't have not sat in it, I think, for a long time, or haven't even still to this day.
Over the last 30 days, what was your biggest win?
I think my biggest win was I recently started working as so on top of being founder of Eat Okra, I also am CTO of another company called iMedView, and I'm the CTO there. And so a big win is really hiring, really starting from scratch and building a full engineering team. So in the last 30 days, we've hired 4 engineers and we're building a software product. So being able to take all those skills that I've learned with my experience with Eat Okra has put me in the right position to now lead 10 engineers and IT professionals.
And how did you celebrate that win?
Maybe went to dinner.
What can we do right now to support Eat Okra?
Right now, I would say download the app, share with a friend, join our subscription, our email list, and telling us what you like about it, what you want to see, where can we improve. So feedback is so important to the continued development of the product. And we do listen and hear and build out things. So I would say, yeah, just tell a friend, download the app. We're always looking for more partnerships and ways to get into new communities. And so if you have an idea, a partnership or organization we should reach out to or work with, that's what we love to do.
Okay, taking a note there. Thank you for that. And I want you right now to share with us who is the ideal client for Eat Okra.
So the ideal client has to want to be part of community, want to support it, want to celebrate it. Ideally, and it's we're always food. So whatever we do, it's got to be around food. We always want to bring a restaurant or a black-owned food founder with us. It's really about making sure that we're celebrating them, we're bringing the community a new experience. It's got to be feel honest and good about the work, and it's got to be fresh and new.
What's trending right now is artificial intelligence. Talk about that.
Yeah, I use it every day. AI, ChatGPT, Claude, Nano Banana. There's so many tools out there. I only named three of like 300, but yeah, I use it for a lot of coding these days. Right now, I'm able to spin up a new feature in hours that would have taken me 2 weeks or a week. So in a weekend, I can knock out a lot of work. You do have to be careful with it, but it is a bit of a game changer and an equalizer for a lot of startups. So I hope there's a lot of folks getting in on the ground now before the pricing model changes or things like that. But it really is a tool to get you to MVP very quickly.
And what is your zone of genius?
I think I'm curious, ask questions. I curious and creative, I would say. I feel like I do have a bit of that just gets it in a way. I don't know what's the right word to say, but I feel like I get it and I feel like I create things that people want. And I'm not afraid to try. I'm a person that I'm not like a trial and error. I'm not a tutorial person. When I build something, I just go straight for it and build. I don't like teeter-totter or spend too much time thinking about it, or when I think I know what I want, I build it right away. I don't take too much time to test.
Okay. And Anthony, what do you need right now that you don't have to move the needle forward?
I think right now, what I don't have is a sales mentality. So while we want to make money, my natural gift is not in sales. It's not in storytelling to get the sale. It's not cold calling, those kind of things, those things that you probably do need to have some of, or somebody on your team to do those things. And right now, I think that's where I lack.
Okay. And are you looking for someone to do that for you, or are you looking to level up to do it yourself?
Someone to do it for me right now, if I
Okay.
in this moment right now, but it is a skill. I think I still need to develop that skill over time,
Hmm.
you know. So either
Absolutely.
in this role or the next, if I build out another company in 10 years or so, I still want to have that sales skill. So it's something I do have as an agenda item that I want to have continuous learning
Right.
for.
Right. Absolutely. And we all have that because we sell every day and you have it, you just want to perfect it. So
Going back to your question about what would I tell my younger self, it would have been to take like a sales job, going door to door, doing things. Even though I did those things like as a kid, but more on a serious level
hmm
of either being on a call center and taking calls and doing like calls like cold calls that way, or going door to door. Some kind of sales role where I would want to build that skill if I were to tell my younger self something, actually.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. What problem exists in the world today that you'd like to solve?
So a problem that exists today that I would like to solve is for me, it's memory. When I say memory, it's following up with my contacts. So like remembering people where I met them. I think it is a common problem with just remembering to call your grandmother, calling a friend, because we get so boggled down, I think that we could use help to remember to contact somebody. Or in a working space, I want to build something, know who I've met at previous conferences. Like, what did we talk about? I want to build a product that kind of solves that for me. And a lot of people, I'm sure, too. We go to a conference, we meet 20 people, we write it down on all kind of crazy notes that's unorganized, and you might follow with one person or 2 weeks later. I want to build something where I can instantly remember all 10 of those people. It has a memory. It knows when you last met this person, where you were at, what you talked about, and it'll send me email reminders to contact this person. It'll say, "Hey, you met John Snow and you promised him a follow-up. Why don't you're going to be in California. Why don't you meet him for coffee?" So really set like the context about, I want to bring that context to my contacts.
hmm And I agree with you on that because a lot of times when we go to conferences and they have the app right now that where you can tap my phone or I don't do the tapping the phone, but that it will give you my information. Do you know one of the applications?
Yeah, there's Dot. I think there's Bopple might be one.
hmm
There's quite a few of them, and they're great. But it's just a new contact that in my phone that I'll not remember.
Right. And I wanted to say absolutely. And what I found with those apps, the challenge is it's something that you're working on, is that when, like, because in my phone, I have 24,000 contacts. Let's say I met John Doe, but if I do not, even though that information came through that app, it's just going in there. I will never remember John Doe at that moment. So that's a feature in that when they had the idea, it was great, but you're not going to remember because you don't remember who that person was
Yep.
at that moment. So that is very, very key that you're doing that.
Yeah. Are they a frat brother? Did they go to school at my school? Or what school did they go to? Where do they live? What job profession are they in? What role or title do they have? Like we can store all that kind of information because at some point maybe I want to search specifically by that in whatever
hmm
city I'm traveling and I want to just have coffee with somebody. So having
Yeah.
that kind of context. Are they an investor? Are they angel or series A? Where are they? So different levels of context that I want to just have at the ready.
Right. And one of the things I told my son, I said, if anything ever happens to your mom, destroy her phone first. Because I do, when I list the contact, I will actually say how we met. And so when I put, like, even if I go to the gym and I meet someone, I'll put in my calendar that day that I met Bob Willie at which gym, because I have 3 gym memberships, if he's a neighborhood person. And so in my phone, it will actually say like they're a marketer or they own a business or something
Yeah.
like that. So
Hmm.
that's incredible. Anthony, thank you for the work that you're doing as a small business owner. It is so incredible the work you're doing. You have many stories. Can you share a story with us or two regarding someone, whether it's a restaurant owner or a user, and they had this amazing experience with the app Eat Okra?
Yeah, my wife and I laugh about this one. We got a video one day because a bunch of people just dancing in a restaurant. Come to find out, this couple, they do kind of couples dates, two pair, they get together and they go eat at a restaurant. Well, they learned about Eat Okra. They found out about a restaurant that's on Eat Okra through a campaign that we did for a restaurant in Philly. And they drove, I believe, all the way from DC to Philly to visit this restaurant. And the owner sent us a video of everyone inside, like dancing, having a great time. And they were saying, eat okra, eat okra. That was a really cool moment a couple years ago. We got our Apple Developer Award from Tim Cook himself. So that was pretty cool. That was virtual during COVID, but for him to show up and have us all unbox our gifts at the same time, that was pretty special. We've had people email us and say, hey, my daughter and I are going on a trip together. We're going to San Francisco and we're going to use the app the entire weekend. So we planned our whole entire itinerary around the apps that we can use on Eat Okra. So we're going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner and like dessert all on the app. So we like those kind of stories are like what drives us and keeps us going. So we get those kind of often, read our reviews and things like that, how people are using it. So it's exciting to see the creative ways people have used it. Another mom, for example, said that she uses it for her team's travel. The travel, I think soccer team, whenever they visit a new town or away games, things like that, they're using the app to find local black-owned restaurants to eat at post the game.
Love that. There's a lot of challenges in entrepreneurship, but it's a lot of rewards and a lot of risk. Talk about a early wound that you had in starting and growing the app. And what was the win that came out of it? What was the opportunity? What did you learn from that?
I think even like from the early days of building Eat Okra, it was I built it from scratch, like completely from scratch. So I didn't know what I was doing. It was my first attempt at creating an app. I ran into a lot of roadblocks along the way. that I think just made me stronger ultimately. I had to really figure out problems that I just couldn't find on the internet. This was like pre-AI, like pre things like that. So I had to like read books. I had to understand what I was doing and really get into like the infrastructure or the guts, getting into the laying the foundation and figuring out like what's under the hood in the engine to find my problems. By doing that kind of like deep research, really getting into repositories and reading other folks' code, I was able to kind of solve problems early on. I built the app twice actually. So first time I built it in a framework called Ionic, which was kind of older. It was still kind of popular, but it was a beta version, and people told me like, don't build on beta versions because they could change and it would break your app. It happened. They changed the app. It completely broke. I had to build it again. So technically, I guess it was three times. But in doing that, I learned a lot. In doing that, I learned a lot as well. I think there's just a lot of early trials and tribulation that really tested me. Like, do you really want to do this? Are you going to fight through the pain of developing a platform? So I think there's a lot to say in those moments because sometimes I would spend 2 weeks on a problem. I don't think I've set timelines. Like I would spend maybe a day or a couple hours on a problem. I've had problems that took a month, 2 weeks, like everything in between, but for 4 years before anyone was using the platform. So I was really in the weeds trying to get this thing out the door. And so that kind of just kind of shows what kind of grit, and strength you're willing to go through for anything, really. If you're gonna have the fight, continue to fight. Everything's always a fight. It doesn't come easy. Even to get it on the App Store, it's like, oh, we don't approve it because of this. So we don't approve it because of that. So you have to go back and figure those things out, change a lot. But I think all those things really just like truly build character. And people ultimately appreciated, the product.
There are so many brands or businesses. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating, Anthony, that you admire and why.
I just have a lot of brands that I can name a couple of brands that I really admire. Brooklyn Tea is a prime example. They're kind of a local mom and pop husband and wife duo that sell tea, for purchase, or they have a couple storefronts, but we've kind of like grown up together a bit. I've got to see them do so many amazing things from the restaurant to recently they launched the first, I believe, black owned space, black owned, majority ownership space inside JFK. To me, that's crushing it. Like they're killing it. Like not many people get that opportunity, and they've built such a solid brand through the community and with trust and just being honorable, respectful, great humans that, those are the kind of people I want to be around, people I want to learn from. Friend of mine named Jason Wallace, who's been really instrumental and really a mentor as well to us. He's been on our team for many years as our resident restaurant scientist. And right now he's opening, gosh, like three restaurants in New Jersey and Newark. His love for the business, love for people. I truly admire the way he shows up for us, shows up for me, has been a listening ear for me, has the way he works with other restaurants and helps their businesses as a consultant in this space. But just seeing him, like he told me about all the restaurants he's done, but now I get to really see him behind the kitchen and doing his thing again. And the food is amazing. Yeah, he's an awesome dude and someone I really look up to as well.
Thank you for that. Our listening audience, those that's listening to this podcast, Anthony, what is the takeaway? What do you want them to leave with from this interview?
I want people to know that you can do it. Right now is the right time. Don't wait. Sometimes it might be not in your comfort zone, but I believe everyone can, through hard work, can get over any hurdle. You're not knowledgeable about X topic but you can get there. You can bring the right people with you along the ride for you that do have that kind of skill set. So I encourage everyone to try, be a part of something. And if you're an engineer, you should 100% be building along with somebody else to build a product. So if you're in that space, you're a creator, everyone should have a side project that they're working on outside of their main thing. Unless you're a full-time entrepreneur, then you should just do that. But if you're working for a corporate brand or something like that and you have the time, you should be spending an extra amount of hours a week developing your craft on somebody else's business or your own.
Anthony, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
Did you dream big enough
Mm.
when you started this? And I would say no. When I thought about this, it was very small-minded. It was very local, but it didn't have that dream of partnership, of collaboration, of working with other people. It was always about the people, but there wasn't much of a business mindset behind it. I think in going through my journey the way we've done it, because kind of did it from the way most people don't create businesses, and think I had to learn a lot along the way that I appreciate now, but now it's helped me to think bigger, dream bigger, and just know that it can be possible. That there are, bigger dreams are possible and they can be accomplished.
Anthony, you are a tech company. What is a tech tool that has helped you to be extremely successful?
A tool that really helped us be successful was one that really, it's important to talk to people at the right time and with the right message, right? So one tool that I've used was actually a program I was part of called Braze's Tech for an Equitable Future program. And so that program allowed us to use kind of like enterprise software at a price that a mom and pop or a business like mine could afford. But basically, it's a 4-year program, and they give you all the tools you need. They give you a coach, they give you a customer success rep. And I've been working with them for about a while. And so we've been able to send about 3 million emails a month at a price of fraction of the price of what a normally would cost to do that. And for us, that's really important because we need to always let people know about new restaurants in the area. We want to send them newsletters, a weekly digest. We want to send them pop-ups about experiences that are happening on the app. We want to send push notifications. Gosh, we want to create campaigns so that we don't lose a lead, things like that, and retarget folks. So Braze has so many tools. They're using a lot of AI as well now, but this program allowed us to go from sending maybe 300 emails a month to over 4 years now sending in the millions. And that kind of access I don't have. We don't have that kind of money to afford. And so the program that those guys over there have put together have been really instrumental and just been great partners overall in supporting the work that we do and other Black founders and founders of color as well.
Wow, that's awesome. And if someone's interested in the program, how should they connect with them?
They should go to braze.com and search for their programming.
Thank you for that. We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Rapid Round of Fun. And I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the rapid round of fun?
Sure.
What is your favorite comfort food?
I'm a pizza person, pizza and burgers.
The last movie you saw?
I've been watching, I don't know if it's a movie. It's not a movie, it's a TV series, and I'm watching the new Game of Thrones series, The Kings, Seven Kings, something Seven Kings.
Okay. You relax doing what?
I relax actually going on walks. I don't do it enough, but I really do relax and clear my head on long walks or on a treadmill or something like that. So I wish I did it more, but it does relax me.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Michael Jackson all time, but rapper Kendrick Lamar right now.
Your favorite dance song?
Dance song would have to be maybe a Billie Jean, Michael Jackson, Smooth Criminal, Pretty Young Thing. Yeah,
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
bread, something with bread in it. Recently, though, I've been on a diet and I'm bread free. So bread and grain free. I've been on the diet for about like 2 months now. So that's not really my everyday. So right now I don't have anything every day that I eat, but it's always a go-to of something with bread.
Work out or hit the couch?
Workout.
Anthony Edwards Jr., thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you and do business with you. And feel free to leave all your social media handles and let us know how we can continue to support Eat Okra.
Yes, please find me on www.eatokra.com. Look us up in the App Store, Eat Okra, the app, one word. Please download, share on social media. You can find us on Eat Okra, the app, on all social media channels as well.
Thank you, Anthony. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.